Good afternoon. My name is Bob Miller, Manager of Color Services with IT Supplies, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. This webinar is the first in a series that we're calling RIP Week. Today we are joined by Ryan Lee, National Sales Manager for Wasatch Computer Technology. Before we get started, I would like to mention that all attendees will be muted throughout the webinar to reduce background noise. During the webinar, we encourage you to make notes of any questions that you may have. At the end of the presentation, we will hold a Q&A. At any time, feel free to type whatever question you have in the presenter's chat box. One final note, be sure to stick around till the end of this session. IT Supplies is working closely with manufacturers and RIP suppliers to offer special pricing for attendees. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Ryan. Ryan, over to you.
Thanks, Bob, and welcome to everyone attending. Appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about Wasatch SoftRip and the various features that we currently offer. I will spend a couple minutes just on a quick presentation slide. Please don't run away. I know these slides can sometimes be pretty dry and boring, but I've just got a couple and to review, and then we'll jump over and take a look at the features in SoftRip. So real quick background on Wasatch. The company was originally founded in 1982. It's been here in Salt Lake City from the start. For those who may not be aware, Wasatch is the name of the mountain range that runs along Salt Lake City. So that's the origin of the name. Going back to 1982, this was before digital printing with inkjets and whatnot was really a thing. So we had various products involving scanning, and actually had a vector design tool before Adobe came out. It's a good thing we made a switch. We wouldn't want to try and compete with Adobe Illustrator at this point, would we? But we saw the need for software to help run new digital printers. This is going back to NCAD and early HPs and so forth. And RIP software became our exclusive product in the mid-90s. Okay, RIP software is basically software that helps analyze and interpret different files, PDFs, JPEGs, TIFFs, etc., different file formats in different color spaces, RGB, Pantone, CMYK, etc. So we help translate all of that information coming in into language that the printer understands. Okay, that was really the origin of RIPs, and over time we've developed production tools just to make it easier for you to print and be more efficient. So some of the common standard features that are included with pretty much any copy of SoftRip is sizing and cropping, getting the file size just right if it wasn't already done in something like Illustrator or Photoshop. Okay. We have a cost estimator tool that helps you analyze and estimate the amount of ink and media and associated costs that would be used for a particular job. We'll take a look at that briefly. Simple nesting tools to save media, use for reprinting, saving previously printed jobs. Hot folders allows you to send files remotely from any computer on the network. And some spot color matching tools that we'll take a look at. That's we've got some pretty powerful tools that seem to be fairly unique to Wasatch SoftRip, so we'll spend some time on that. There's some extra cost options that we'll take a look at as well. There's a variety of cutting options from basic vinyl cutters, Graphtec, Suna, etc., on up to Kotoba cutters and zoomed iCut table cutters. And there's a TX option that does a seamless step and repeat that we'll look at for those that are really printing typically rolls of fabric or custom designed fabric and need to have some artwork repeated across the width of the printer and however many feet or yards the customer needs. Variable data is a great tool for adding additional data to a static image, such as names, serial numbers, barcodes, things like that. An automation option helps you streamline the workflow and allows you to customize how you want your images and jobs to be printed. We can integrate with other e-commerce software. If you've got a web store or something like InFocus Switch and want SoftRip and that other software to integrate and work seamlessly without an operator, those are options that and tools that can be added. We're pretty flexible with that. A lot of the code that we've written is open source for those that want to customize and really dial in the workflow the way they want. So a little bit about the automation option. Can be driven by barcodes. That's an excellent way to remove mistakes, an operator error, grabbing the wrong file, something like that. So you can use barcodes through prompt printing. It allows you to scale up quickly and efficiently. And like I said, just automate the print production. Okay, so quick introduction there. Let's actually take a look at SoftRip. Okay, so here's our main screen. I'll use a shortcut here to open up a file. We'll use that file to look at some of the features that I had introduced before. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, give me a minute to move some things around. Okay, let's run through these quickly. The system tab shows what's connected to each printer. You can actually drive up to 8 devices with one copy of SoftRip. Depending on which edition you purchased, it may come with 2 units included. Some come with 4, but additional units can be added. That's typically a $500 cost per unit to add additional units. And that definitely is useful when you've got quite a few machines and you want to automate. Everything can be controlled and driven from one copy of SoftRip. Okay, unit options. We'll come back to this in a minute when we take a look at nesting. File browser is a simple little window to find the artwork or files you need to work with. Okay. The info tab is useful. It's one of my favorite tools, especially when we're talking about color. We'll come back to this in a little bit. But you can see this window here is blank until I mouse over the image. Okay, we can see the tree here is vector CMYK, and it shows the percentages for each channel. Okay, you can mouse around and just see the makeup of a file, whether it's vector or raster, CMYK, RGB, different elements within the same file can vary. And so this info tab gives you some information. The trace tool is typically related to cutting. If you've got artwork like this that doesn't have a layer to define the cut path, you can trace to generate that cut path. Okay. we print this file, and if you've got the cutting options added, then you have cutting devices in your device list. It's just the graph text, for example. Like I said, you can